All right, I'm gonna show you, I'll post the video eventually to YouTube. I just never did because it was my electrical and plumbing walkthrough where just before they were closing up the walls for insulation and drywall, I walked all the way through the house and marked on video every outlet, every cove heater wire sticking out, all the plumbing, the can lights, everything. And then that way I could walk all the way through the house and once the drywall is up and find what they had covered up, because inevitably they do something. And so right here in the kitchen, they have covered up an outlet for this countertop. This one I noticed just walking through on my own. I was like, there should be an outlet above each countertop for the fridge and so forth. And I just saw that it was covered, and you can feel the bulge right here. So, and then over here in the hallway, this one also I noticed on my own without the video. I thought, there's no hallway outlets. What happened? And then I double checked things, and there's a bulge right here. There's an outlet in that wall. And then here I made a note for them. This I caught on the video. I looked up and there is no can light cut out. So they covered that up. Well, they are taping and all the drywall is up now, it looks like. So looking good. I don't know who wrote that. Goofy. One thing I do appreciate is that every square foot of the house and even the garage, they laid down paper and taped it. So, all through the house, so that we don't have mud all over our floors and stuff. I don't know that I've ever had anybody do that, so it's kind of nice. Looking good. And my wife's been painting. She said she would have finished yesterday, but I was driving home from across the state. It sounds like coming down off this ladder. Not sure where, but she caught her ring finger, her wedding ring band, and partially cut deep into her finger. They had to cut the band and then give her stitches across the base of her finger. I'll drop a couple photos in here. So while she's healing up, we're kind of at a standstill. She was supposed to keep painting and help me with siding on the ends. But in the meantime, I guess I can start putting up trim and such. So the power company came and inspected us for hookup, and they'll hook us up in towards the end of September, so another 3 or 4 weeks, which is kind of a bummer. That was just when they would do it anyway, but today was just a quick inspection to make sure we were ready for that. And they want us to take out the ground coming to here that ties these two together. So my ground coming in from my breaker panel to here is fine, but then they want this out, which is what I thought, and based on other things I've seen. And then it sounded like He doesn't want this oofer ground, which is tied into the foundation of the building, tied in right there. He just wants those two things clamped together right here hanging, which is again what somebody else had told me to do. I'm gonna leave this bar free as a ground. And then, anyway, I think that's all I have to do is just take out that deal and we're good to go. Okay, so we took out the aluminum, just removed it from here. Took it out of here. I had to undo all three of these and move them because it was pinned down in there. Then we detached this from here and we just acorn these or whatever, the coppers together so that everything's grounded, I guess. So that's the video that my wife took of the guy that came to inspect it. That's what he told us to do, so hopefully that's correct. We'll have it checked anyway in the meantime. All right, we got the last outside door installed. I stink at doors. It takes me forever. This one has a slight pinch at the corners, but it shuts fine. And there's a gap right here. I fiddle with them and fiddle with them. I do them just how they say to do them, and I can just never get them to square up, but it looks good. She's gonna paint that black, I think. And this whole side is, I think it's double coated, so I gotta start putting trim up. And then he's gonna come next week and start on the soffit. So this Labor Day weekend, I've got to get the two ends done so he can run soffit there too. Gonna be a hectic, busy weekend. And drywall's looking good. He's got everything taped in here, and then inside he has this cool pump and a sprayer, and he just sprays on the second layer, and he comes and scrapes it. And it looks like he has an electric sander that pumps with a vacuum, so it vacuums as it sands, which would be slick. I mean, every time I drywall, tape by hand, a little bit of mud, tape, it's so dumb. I do like what he did up here. He put in corner beading and all that stuff and mounted it with drywall. I was gonna block it with wood, but I'm glad he did that. So I've got a little bit of time this afternoon. I'm gonna attempt to at least get one or two of these boxes on. These are my RV hookups. These waterproof duct boxes. So I'm gonna use lag screws with plumber duct sealing compound to go on there. First I'm gonna caulk this hole so when it closes up it's good and sealed, I guess. And then I'll mount this on and then wire it all up, and hopefully it's good to go. But it seems pretty simple. I just punched out this back and put this Romex connector in there. Don't buy these, by the way. They're a pain to pop into place. To fight them and fight them. So should be good. I'm assuming that cover goes on the top. There's a plastic cover. I'm guessing that covers the top. All right, that is installed. What I don't like is this on top. Just these screws. I mean, it's pretty snug with being watertight, but then you put these 4 screws in the top, which doesn't make sense. I guess you can put a little dab of caulk in each one or some more putty, but that's it. Woo. Keep sneezing today. Try to see if I have time for the 50. All right, doing the 50 amp RV receptacle now. So I'm hoping that all the caulking I did on the 30 amp yesterday, put quite a bit in there, and then that putty stuff, put caulk around this lip that's a raised lip in that hole, and put that down on top of it. So I'm hoping that everything's sealed up good. All the wiring's up in the middle, hanging in the box anyway, so even if water gets in the bottom, yeah, there's a drain spot there, so I think it'll be perfectly fine. I am most nervous about water coming down and going back in there. I thought this would be a snug, like sealed housing around it, but it's not. Okay, so we're putting the header up for the back patio, and then we'll slip the siding up underneath it, and then siding above it at some point. We have to figure out how we're going to do the flashing above it without the roof being installed. Contact's going crazy. All right, we got some of the front siding done. It's kind of a pain because we had to patch in some OSB around the edges, and we're setting the level by putting a board across the bottom, which I'll patch in just like on the sides because these are only 10 foot. And that's kept us a level line across at the top where it meets the eave. So I'm hoping that works out. And it doesn't look like we have enough to do the gable ends. And you have to order this OSB, especially the 10 foot, not OSB, T111, sorry. T111 siding. So we were just talking, my wife was here, because it's me alone for the most part during the week, and Matt has cross country on the weekends, and I don't see us putting big sheets up in there anyway, so we think we might do a shaker on the gables, which will be be up and down the ladder like crazy, but I think it's something I can do by myself. Just snap some chalk lines and start rolling. So I need to put the Z metal. Along the top edge. It has about that much height to it, and then it comes down, it comes out 3/8 the depth of the T111, and then it lips over about a 1/2 inch. And that keeps water from getting back down in there. And then you put whatever you're doing above that against that 2-inch flashing. So, anyway, we are not having much luck on the back, so we abandoned that for the day. But I was hoping to finish this today at least. Not to be, but it's coming along. I did get all of my electrical outlets set here. So I've got 2 RV outlets and then a regular 20 amp. Oh man, this just feels like the siding is never ending as well. Just tons of, I hate that I have to go back and rip all this. I wish we had 11 foot OSB. Very frustrating. So, but that'll be tedious, just ripping and ripping and ripping. 2 90-foot runs and then 2 36-foot runs of 3 or 4 inches, and just tacking it in, then covering it with 5.5 inch trim. Just a nightmare. So, and then having to caulk that real well so I don't get water behind it, because I can't figure out a flashing setup to make that. It just doesn't make sense in my head how to do it. So anyway, come along. All right, today I am in the skid steer, and I'm trying to pull off all the berm around the edges and then dig out the back patio. The excavator piled up the 4-foot overhang too far, and I need to cut out about 10 inches and then backfill it with road base, which I've had delivered 4 truckloads of it. And then I'll dig out the back patio, replace it with road base. I've got a compactor. I'll compact the sidewalk run, the back patio run, and then Friday I'm running a mini excavator to dig the holes for the back patio posts, footings, and then I'll rent a skid steer again and backfill that, I think. Anyway, a lot of work in the side-by-side today, adding to our pile, which never got fully hauled off, so I'm not sure what's going to happen there. So I'm just digging out this whole berm here across the front because the sidewalk has to go there, but I need the sidewalk will be below those vents there. So the sidewalk could sit right on that right now, but I need about 6 inches of road base through there, so I might be digging out too much, so I'll have to be careful of that. She's all scraped out. I'm just gonna take the shovel and pitch back a little bit more, and then get some road base, start throwing it on. I also moved this pile, cut out what would be in our technical yard where the septic system will go. The same guy's supposed to haul this off that's putting in the septic, so it didn't matter too much, but I just wanted to see and be able to walk this area in case he can put the septic in before he hauls this off. And then I'll move all this. This was what they scraped off initially. This is the first video where he was scraping the kind of topsoil off. Has some rock in it, but I think I'm gonna spread this. I might put it across here to bank it out from the road base, or I might spread it around the water main, which sticks up quite a ways, and I'm gonna need to feather that out somehow. So. But I've got quite a bit to dig out in here too for the back patio. All right, so I got my piles all across the face of the house. Now I'm out here behind the house digging out for where I'll throw a ton of road base and compact it for the back patio. Alright, so we did quite a bit of work today. I removed that pile, dumped it here, and then I built out the road base here, the road base there with the skid steer, so we can pour a pad there, and this will be road base with a shed there, and then a gravel drive, and then the asphalt starts somewhere in here and goes all the way across. I'll come and put that in at some point. Long day in that machine, and the pedal throttle stopped working, so I had to use the snail mode the whole afternoon. So I dug all this out down and then poured in road base and leveled it out, and so it had like a 18-inch drop to the ground level, and then I compacted it, and then I dropped about 3 buckets of dirt each here, and then I just dragged it smooth, and then I've been running the compactor back and forth. So this is a pretty solid foundation. I mean, it'll still settle at some point, but I can at least start chalk lining and forming, and I'll have to do some rake and shovel work to get things just right, and then I may have to have a skid steer to fill in here or there, but it's pretty close. I was using the metal braces that we snap off after the forms are set as my gauge, because they were about 4 inches below that deal. So I'm going to pour up to just below those vents. I used that whole pile of scraped dirt to fill in here. And then all the junk dirt is over there ready for them to haul out. And this is where the septic is going, so at least they could see it. I filled in this corner, smoothed it out, and then I built this all up. And then it's about where I need it to be there. It's a little lumpy in here because on Friday, or Saturday, I'm renting a mini excavator, and next Saturday, and digging the 5 holes for the footings. And I bought the bell forms, and then I'll cut the 10-inch sono tube into short stubs so that they sit on each one, and will be out of the ground about 4 inches and in the ground 3 feet. And we'll do that across here, and then I'll pour those. I'll set some braces, and I'll pour those next week, and then I'll fill in around them and get this all perfectly compacted and form it, the whole patio around those, just like I did at that house. And I'll form this, and then the cement guys that did all our cement are going to come and do this big pour on next week, at the end of the week. But that way, by mid-September, all of our cement will be done, and then I can quickly, it should just take me 2 days, slap up this porch. Fingers crossed, 2 days. And then I can do that gable. We also need to finish this siding. It just went standstill. My wife cut her hand, and I think I've dropped that a couple pictures in that video. Degloved her hand, and then my son's back to school, and I just haven't had any help, and so we've just been at a standstill almost with siding. It kind of stinks. We did this whole side in 3 hours, and the other side in about 4 hours, and then I just can't get these 2 ends done. I did take out this pile of dirt. I scraped out a trench here, the top of the trench, which was all gravelly rock, and threw it on that pile. And then I took this topsoil and poured it in here so that next summer when we go to start landscaping, I don't have this big berm of rocks here. I can at least, I still have to bring in more topsoil, but it'll be good. We got a trash pile. We'll haul that off in the next few days. We're going to move all this back to here and hopefully get this up over the next few days. When my son gets here, we're going to use the skid steer to lift this up and take it around and put it inside the house. I didn't think about all that berm work I just did. I think I showed you all these RV ports, 30 amp, 50 amp. I don't know what I've put on the videos. My videos kind of took one on standstill and then a 20 amp. So those are all weather tight. We get this poured. And then the drywallers, I think, finished today. They're gonna come get their stuff. But the garage, we just said do 2 coats and then sand, and we'll just primer the whole thing. I think that's it. So I believe they're done. Maybe they're just gonna clean up the garage. But it looks good. And then inside, they did all their texture coat. It's just a light texture, you can see. And they finished sanding. I believe they're all done inside. I think that's what they told me today. And I thought they were gone completely. And then I went out to the garage and their stuff was still in there. So, looks really good. So it's ready for paint. And as soon as she paints, I'll start doing the finished electrical, and we'll start, hopefully I'm done with the outside by then. And then we'll take, hopefully by middle of September, we're all done outside, and we can jump inside and take about 5 or 6 weeks to finish this off and move in. Fingers crossed. I'm tired. I'm ready for this insane project to be done. Looks good though. So we've done a lot of work, but I thought we'd be done with all the siding and the house would be painted and the soffit would be starting this week. And yet it's after Labor Day weekend, and we just ground to a halt 2 weeks ago with the siding because it just takes too many people to put those big panels up. I just need 3 people, me and 2 others. So I haven't had that, so it kind of stinks. But it is what it is, and hopefully we can finish this off. I did buy all the gable end stuff. We decided to do this, looks good out here. Got quite a bit done today, even with my slow machine. We bought these smartboard planks, footing bells, so they look like shingles. And so they'll overlap these 4-inch planks and offset a bit. And then they'll just... Anyway, I gotta read about how to install these. I don't know if you staple them and glue them along the bottom edge or what. So I've got all that to do. We decided to do this because I couldn't even find anybody to help me with the side stuff, and so we just thought climbing up into the gables, me and my wife and sometimes my daughters, would just be spooky. So at least I can go up on a ladder with one of those and pop, 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 and then move the ladder and pop, pop. It'll just be tedious, but hopefully 2 days of that gets me both ends done. All right, that's it. The never-ending project. It's actually going fast. It's been June, July, August, September. Less than 3 months.